All right, today we're diving into one of the most playful and honestly one of the most profound novels of the 20th century, Virginia Woolf's Orlando. It's a book that just completely throws out the rulebook to ask some of the biggest questions about who we really are. So let me just ask you this. What if you could live for 400 years? I mean, really witness history unfold. Now, what if, halfway through that incredibly long life, you woke up one morning and you'd change gender? I know, it sounds like pure fantasy, right? Well, believe it or not, this is the exact premise of the novel we're talking about. Virginia Woolf takes this incredible what if and just runs with it, spinning a story that challenges pretty much everything we think we know about time, identity, and ourselves. So, how on earth does she pull this off? Let's start by looking at how Woolf completely messes with the idea of time and what a single lifetime can be. Okay, so the novel kicks off with our main character, Orlando, who's a young nobleman in the Elizabethan courts. But through some kind of unexplained magic, he just keeps on living. He lives right through to Woolf's own time in the early 20th century. He sees centuries change, fashions come and go, empires rise and fall, all while barely aging a single day. But think about it. How do you even begin to capture centuries of experience inside one character's head without it turning into, a super dense history textbook? Well, Woolf had a pretty revolutionary tool up her sleeve to solve this exact problem. She uses a technique called stream of consciousness, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a way of writing that tries to mimic the actual flow of our minds, which, let's be honest, is not logical and orderly. It's a messy, beautiful, chaotic mix of thoughts, memories, and feelings all happening at once. So, with this technique, Orlando's mind can be in the present moment and then, bam, jump to a memory from 200 years ago. Just like that. Thoughts, sensations, memories, they all get jumbled together, just like they do in our own heads. The focus isn't on what's happening on the outside, but on the rich inner psychological experience. And here's the main takeaway from all this. By using stream of consciousness, Woolf is making a huge point. Our true identity, our self, isn't defined by our age or what's happening around us. Nope. Our core self is found in that continuous, flowing river of our thoughts and feelings, the one thing that stays consistent over all those centuries. So if you're telling the story of an immortal, gender-bending poet, you can see how the old-fashioned biography format just isn't going to work. This is where Woolf really shines as a pioneer of something they called the new biography. And the difference is just night and day. The old way of doing things was all about a collection of dates, facts, and public achievements, all pretending to be the objective truth. But Woolf and other modernists, they were interested in something way deeper. The inner life, the private emotions, the messy, subjective truth of being a person. They used imagination to get closer to someone's real essence. Woolf herself summed it up perfectly. She said a great biography needs both the granite of fact and the rainbow of personality. You need those hard details, sure, but you also have to capture the vibrant, shifting, colorful essence of a person's inner world. I mean, what a beautiful way to put it. And this is so brilliant. Orlando is written as if it's a real biography, which makes it this amazing mock biography. But here's the secret, the real kicker. It was also a deeply personal love letter to Woolf's lover, the writer Vita Sackville-West. So by writing an impossible biography about a real person she loved, Woolf is playfully asking, can a list of facts ever really capture who someone is? And her answer is a resounding no. And you see, once Woolf freed herself from that granite effect, she could explore one of the novel's most radical and famous themes, the very nature of gender itself. So, about halfway through the book, Orlando falls into this deep, long sleep and just wakes up as a woman. But there's no drama, no panic. The narrator treats it so casually, and you have to ask, why? Because Orlando's consciousness, their memories, their self, none of that has changed one bit. But what does change, dramatically, is how the world treats them. As a man, Orlando had all this freedom, authority, and legal independence. But as a woman, suddenly she's dealing with property restrictions, constant social judgment, and the expectation that she has to be modest. It's the exact same person on the inside, but the social rules, the performance of gender, are completely different. And this leads us right to Woolf's revolutionary argument. First, that our experience of gender is shaped by society and its rules, not just by our biology. Second, that society has this bad habit of confusing historical disadvantage with some kind of natural inferiority. And finally, her big idea, that true creativity, true genius, comes from what she called an androgynous mind, one that can embrace both masculine and feminine qualities without getting trapped by society's rigid boxes. Okay, so let's pull all these threads together. Why does a novel that was written almost 100 years ago still feel so incredibly fresh and relevant today? Well, it really boils down to these core concepts. Woolf teaches us that our identity isn't some fixed thing. It's fluid and it changes. That gender is a role we perform, one that's shaped by society. And that our truest self is found in that continuous flow of our own consciousness, not in the labels the world tries to stick on us. I mean, these are ideas that people are still exploring and debating right now. And so, Orlando leaves us with this final, really powerful question to think about. If all the things we think define us, our age, our gender, our moment in history, if all of those are just fluid constructions, then what is that unchanging core that makes you, you? That's the genius of Virginia Woolf, and that's the question that makes this novel a true biography beyond all boundaries.